I mean, when you're out there, when you're stepping on the field with your dog, it's like jumping out of an airplane with a parachute, not knowing whether it's going to open.
I like it. Hello, everybody. This is podcast number 36. Today, I have as a guest Vadim Plotsker. And for those of you that don't know him, he's a very influential and instrumental person in the IGP world at the moment. Vadim is the current president of the USCA, the primary German Shepherd organization in the States. He's also in the board of directors at the World German Shepherd Organization, the WUSV. He's a judge. He's judged plenty of club trials, regional trials, national trials, including 2 times in the very recent times, like 2022 and 2023, the WSV. 2022, he was the obedient judge. He's been a team member of the USCA team. German Shepherd guy. And Vadim, welcome to Training Without Conflict podcast. Did I miss anything? I'm sure I have.
No, I'm married with 2 kids, 3 dogs, 4 dogs.
Very cool. Where are you about? Where are you? What?
I'm in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
I am 1 hour north of Boston.
I don't want to ask the typical how's the weather, but we are freezing here. And you're going to laugh because for those of you that don't know, I'm in Florida and I have a little heavy. It was 42 degrees in the morning. And that
I think we had that for a high today. I think maybe it was high of 45 today, and it's freezing in the morning, but we're used to it. So I think our blood is the consistency of molasses normally when winter comes. So
we love it for tracking right now. Like this is our prime time to go tracking because the fire ants hate the cold. So it really, no matter what else we're doing, we gotta get out and track and catch up on everything.
I've been trying to do this. Yeah, I've been trying to do the same thing. We're kind of fortunate we don't have snow on the ground yet, so I've been trying to go track every morning and get as many as they can in before we can't track for 3 months.
3 months. Still not too bad.
Nah.
But then, do you guys still do some like outdoor training when the weather allows, or it's all indoors from there on?
We stay outdoors until it becomes too dangerous to work with the dogs outside. So slippery, if anybody can hurt themselves, dogs hurt themselves. So pretty much as soon as there's snow on the ground, we go inside.
So then, how did you get in dogs? Let's start here.
In very early 90s, I had like a pet showline German Shepherd. Well, maybe like a mix, let's say. And I had a good friend, Jim Ward, that got me kind of interested in training dogs. And this was in the very early 90s. But of course, at that time, I didn't have the dog for it. So I did the best I could with the dog I had, which wasn't much. But then Jim, you may know him, you may not know him. He used to be a competitor, New England region, North Americans. He was a helper in the Southwest region. I think Jim and T Floyd were together back in the Southwest in Arizona at one point. But he's the one that got me started in the sport in the very early 90s, and I owe him a lot for that. And then Jim always told me that if I wanted to be in a Formula One race, I had to have a Formula One car. So at some point, I watched Jim train with his dog, and his dog was a few times New England regional champion, V-dog in the North Americans and things like that. And I'm like, I want a dog like that too. And then I just,
So you pretty much got hooked right away then.
Yeah, right away, yeah. And I started as a helper, so I did a lot of, pretty much my whole life I've done helper work. I mean, now that I'm older and slower. I'm slowing down, but still like to develop young dogs and bring them along. But yeah, my whole beginning of my career was working as a helper.
That's awesome. I try to avoid it as much as, I shouldn't say avoid it,
We're
but
old. We're old.
trying to kind of not to do stupid things at least. But I just worked like right before we sat down to talk, a dog and tagged me. So I was like, oh man, do I put a band-aid or what do I do? It's like, okay, it's just another little thing. How about the judging? When did you feel that?
Yeah, so like a judging is kind of like a natural progression, I think, for a lot of people that have a passion for the sport. Um, and then you want to, I personally wanted to give back, and I'll give a lot of credit to Frank Phillips, who got me, who kind of got me hooked into judging. Um, um, but I felt like um, I felt like I was in a really good training group. We knew what right looked like. I feel like I know what right looks like. I mean, of course, as a judge, you make mistakes and things, but I still feel like I feel very passionately about rewarding great routines, and great dogs with power and energy. And I felt like it was my opportunity to not just give back to the community, work in the community, but also to put my own kind of like, might sound a little arrogant or something, but my own stamp on, this
Yeah,
is where, because that's what judges do. We give feedback to training,
that's exactly
and
right.
I kind of to put my own stamp on, like, this is what I think is the training that deserves, a V score, an SG score, a G, or a satisfactory. And I kind of just went from there. And then sometimes different opportunities presented themselves. And of course, judging regionals is a lot of fun. Judging nationals is a little more stress and focus. And then judging world championship was a lot of was a lot because it's 5 days of judging.
Were you did at any point during the Worlds felt comfortable, more comfortable than, or was
I
it
honestly,
fluctuating?
so
How?
I honestly thought that I would be a lot more nervous judging the worlds than I was. And it took me maybe one flight of dogs to find my rhythm in the critiques, because I was a little clumsy in the beginning, because in the worlds you got to keep it short but still say enough. Um, but then things picked up. But I felt like I did um, I, I felt like I did the best I could. And actually, I thought I was going to be tired after 5 days. And on the fifth day, on Sunday, I got like a second win. So I felt like I could go another 3 days judging.
Oh, wow.
But there was a time, because we all got sick during during the Denmark World Championship. So myself, Wilfred Touts were sick. So we're popping,
Yeah.
Tylenols and cold medication and stuff like that. And the weather in Denmark, of course, is miserable. So that was the worst part about it. But I honestly thought I'd be a lot more nervous than I was. But then I have my score sheets, which kind of give me a nice grounding platform. So it goes through the sequence, the routine, basically in sequence. And I felt like I put everybody in the correct category. Of course, there's people that don't like what the scores they get, but
It is very hard to judge, like really,
Mhm.
because sometimes, yeah, I mean, you're a competitor and a judge, and so this is the cool thing because you're,
the biggest challenge I think when you're judging national events or like a world event is having a line and keeping a line through 4 days, 5 days. So, my line is usually, you'll know when somebody earns a 91 or 92 or 93, that is, everything else has to be better than, to be in the B
yeah,
category or less than. But that was, keeping a consistent line. That is the biggest challenge when you're judging a lot of dogs. In a club trial, of course, it's a lot easier. There's a lot more forgiveness in club trials. And, but world championship, there's very little forgiveness for anything.
I know, and the WSV typically is one judge, and you have possibly somebody to help with the downs and stuff, but it's a one judge, right? or
Yeah, WSV is one judge per phase, and yeah, you do have a long down judge, which helps a lot.
how do you feel about the one judge versus two versus four, and
Um,
actually it's five at the FMBB because you have four judges and a supervisor walking around.
I'm not opposed to multiple judges per phase. It just what happens is, I think you know because you've put on national events yourself. Um, it becomes very expensive to fly judges in,
Yeah,
very expensive, and a lot of clubs organizations just can't afford it. But saying that, of course, we can raise entry fees. We can do things like that. If that's something the competitors want, they want multiple judges per phase. I am completely open to it.
yeah.
I have no objection to it whatsoever.
How is it with the? Well, that's also crazy because you're. I don't know when were you already in the board of directors with the WSV when you judged or
I was, yeah.
okay.
That was,
So
yeah, I
how?
was.
I mean, even if you weren't, but how does the WSV? What kind of instructions come down from the top as far as
It was like
what do we want to judge and what?
what happens is there's no like instructions that come down per se where they but Hans Graf, who was a from Switzerland, he was the head judge at Denmark when I was the obedience judge. And in the beginning, Hans sits down with all the judges and he basically gives us, a talk about, he doesn't say how to judge or anything like that. The biggest thing that WUSV asks for is that no matter who takes the center line, they're all judged the same.
Right.
So ignore the names, ignore whatever, judge everybody the same. And that was the biggest thing, just, fairness, sportsmanship, all of that. There was no like, hey, we want you to kill pressure or, we want you to do something. There's nothing like that comes down. This is something that gets captured at a different level, not in the actual event itself. In the
Makes
actual
sense.
event, it's basically just, be consistent, no matter who takes the center line, don't care, be fair, that type of stuff.
So, and that question that's coming up, I'm sure everybody that's IGP to some level involved will be interested, but I am interested as well because I'm not sure how it works. But how does talk to me a little bit about the FCI rules and the WSV rules and how and when they differ and why and how is the two?
They're not different. There's no difference.
Not at all.
Nope, because
Okay.
75% of WSV members are FCI members.
Okay, so if FCI decides, like their working commission decides to do something with the rules, change something, WSV just kind of follows suit, right?
Right, for right now, correct, yeah.
Okay.
Because, like I said, 75% of WSV
Interesting.
members are FCI members. It's a similar situation as FMBB.
Yeah. For some reason, I always thought that WSV is just a bit stronger to where they, I don't know.
I mean, like if you look, I mean, Igor Langvarsky, who's on the FCI Utility Dog Commission, is judging. He's going to be judging C in Meppen next year.
Yeah.
Robert Marschlager judged obedience the year before in the Universal Seeger. It's all Clemente with Clemente Grosso. It's all same. It's all same rules.
Oh wow, I really never knew this.
No, there's no difference. No 0.8 meter jump. No, nothing like that.
And as far as the like the USCA rules versus AWDF rules and all that, that's also the same, or is there some?
They're 99% the same. There's some variances in USCA that we have. Just like one variance, for example, is like we don't allow certain collars or things to be worn. Just to give you an example,
Yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of actually judging IGP, it's the same. There's no difference. So if you have a new USCA judge at a AWMA event, it's judged the same.
And how long does it take for USCI typically? What is the process from having met the requirements and getting into apprenticeship, being approved? What is a time frame about?
So it depends really, but normally to get into the apprenticeship, you have to basically you just apply, do 2 walkthroughs, and then you can start your apprenticeship. But it depends on your initiative. There's some people that complete it very quickly, so like a little more than a year. And what they do is they get a lot of dogs under their belt by going to judge regional championships because they can't, or
Right.
co-judge. So if you go judge a couple of regional championships like New England, you might get 35, 40 dogs in, with one trial and go to another regional championship and get another 20 dogs. So it depends. And then you're basically trying to get FHs under your belt. But
Those are
it took me
tough to
about
get.
it took me about 2 years
Okay.
to get my judge license. Yeah.
And then what is the what is it called, like a probation or something, to where you?
Yeah, the first couple of years, you're still a fully licensed judge. You're just a probationary judge. That means that you have to, like if there's any complaints about you, disciplinary actions, it's not the same process as if you were a permanent judge. In a probationary judge, it's a lot stricter. So you have to be very mindful of your behavior and just how you present yourself.
Which one of the 3 phases is the easiest for you to judge?
For me, I think the easiest. I
That
love
kind of
judging.
comes just you're interested and it comes natural.
Obedience.
What about from trainer perspective? Which phase you like to? I know
I
these are
still, I
unfair
still, I still like,
questions.
I still like. I like protection. Obviously, who doesn't? But it's still, Schutzhund is still in our name.
Right.
But it's I just find that all the elements of obedience are so demanding, and every dog is so different in how they handle certain situations. I really do enjoy training obedience.
And if you're gonna screw up a dog, even in protection, it's gonna be through bad
Yeah.
obedience anyway, right?
Or yeah, like screwing up a dog in protection, you really have to do something stupid. Because if the dog barks and the dog bites well, it's very difficult to ruin that. But of course you can. But obedience has so many elements. I think it's the hardest phase to get an excellent score in. It's the hardest phase to train, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's almost. I always get a little frustrated with how good we've become as trainers in all 3 phases, but the obedience especially, like from even 10, even 5 years ago, like taking under consideration so many elements emotionally and all of the precision. And even so, we still have people that want to shut down the sport and want to find things to say that we are these barbaric people that do stupid things with dogs. And it's like so rapidly it's incredible what we do in obedience compared to any other dog sport, really. Like, in my opinion, is that anywhere in the world, anything that comes, well, not anything, but the majority of the cool stuff, the cool ideas and approaches, they have their roots in IGP somehow.
It's actually sad, I know you mentioned, people just clamping down on our sport. It's actually very sad what's going on in Austria right now, which I know you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
You'll read some of the news articles in Austrian, and it's
Right.
it's just brutal. What they say about the sport, brutal.
Yes, it's and
I don't feel good right now about the situation there at all. I don't know your opinion, but I don't feel good about it.
yeah, I mean, this could be the beginning of a total end destruction of the sport.
It's a domino for sure, and Austria has a lot of IGP going on. I mean, they have a lot of judges. They have a significant presence in the IGP world, and I don't feel good right now where we stand and how we're positioned there at all. And I don't know what the answer is there. I just feel like we we're behind a
I'm
lot.
honestly surprised that none of the like the FCI Utility Commission, for example, like these guys, I wish, and I don't know, maybe they are doing something behind the doors, but I don't think behind the doors is even useful at this point. Like I think with FCI being the biggest organization, yes, IGP compared to anything else that FCI does, it's just a little fraction that doesn't even bring money.
I think
Probably.
about less than 2%.
Right. But still we are under their guidance, and I feel like they just left us there defenseless. And I would wish that they would really step up and make an effort. I don't know how successful they can be, but make a real effort to change public perception, or to even do some, I don't know, even like a few times I suggested when the moment that thing was started to happen with the first TikTok in Austria, I'm like, I think it's the best way, in my opinion, to involve some lawyers instead of waiting, because waiting allows for momentum to pick up. And once the train has left, we're chasing. I don't know. What do you think?
You're right. You're right. I agree with you to a point. I will tell you is that I have a lot of experience because I come from a background in my past life. I did a lot of work with the Department of Defense, dealt a lot with different politicians and things like that. And I could tell you is that lawyers is not a way to get a politician to do anything. Lawyer is a way to get another company to do something, to get another person to do something, to get another organization to do something. But a politician, the real way to get them to do something is to have a buy-in from them. So what we're doing wrong, and probably we should be doing more of, is politics is on a local level, of course, in a lot of municipalities, especially in our country. What we should be doing is inviting politicians to our events, to our championships, letting them see kids trialing, for God's sake. We promote youth handlers as much as we possibly can all the time, and just they can see how people love their dogs, how we take care of their dogs. They eat the best food, they get the best vet care.
Right.
I mean, these are a lot of these dogs are or again, lack of a better analogy, a Formula One car. So we give them that type of treatment, of course. But I really do think that this is where we all miss it in Germany and Austria, all over the European Union, which is where the dominoes really will probably fall first, is fighting with politicians is appropriate sometimes, but usually this is what they do for a living, is they fight with each other. The best thing to do is to get their buy-in. And how do you do that? Is you get them involved somehow, in some way. Get them involved, get them to be the guest of honor, get them to, throw out the first pitch
Right,
to use an analogy.
yeah.
This is how you get politicians on your side. Lawyers and politics. Lawyers are good for other companies, for other organizations, and for other individuals, but politicians don't care about lawyers. They have the legislative process, and they will follow the legislative process. A lawyer can't stop it.
Yeah,
Can you
I guess
imagine?
when I'm thinking lawyers, I wasn't thinking to go after the big name politicians, but the people that are, like, I'm talking right at the moment where the fire is about to start, where there's just a little smoke,
I,
just
I mean,
certain
I think you
people
could have
talking nonsense about. It's like you don't know what you're talking. You're just really
again, it's freedom of speech. People can say whatever they want.
true.
Of course, you can't be libelous or, whatever, use offensive language and things like that. But other than that, there's freedom of speech. Anybody can say their opinion. Somebody, You read the latest Austrian article where a vet presented his opinion
Yes.
about,
Yeah.
which was, I felt ridiculous, but it's his opinion.
Yeah. No, at this point, like really, I don't. I wish there is something that can happen to get the table turned around, but
It's the court of public opinion in the EU, and I think I have a lot of friends in Sweden. I'm very good friends with Pierre, and of
yeah,
course
yeah,
Natalie Finca, and there's a lot of great friends I have in Sweden, and I love going there because they have a whole different world, even though they're in Europe. They came to this cataclysmic moment with IGP well over a decade ago, and they almost lost that capability. But the military and the police stood up, and then after that, what happened was they actively actually they combine demonstrations of dogs, whether it's military dogs, IGP dogs, or whatever, dual purpose dogs that do both, combine it with horse shows where there's a lot of people going to them, or combine it with fairs, and they'll put a ring up. Well, they'll do protection for people, and
yeah,
then a person can go in there with the dog and see how the dog behaves. The dog is obviously neutral to everybody except the helper, and then the dog is gripping, and people applaud, and there's somebody narrating the whole thing. And they do these demonstrations at fairs, at horse shows, and things like that. And this is how this is how public opinion over time, change, kind of, because right now, if you just said, "Oh, these people are stressing dogs out," and dogs are biting other people, and this is all they have to go by, and they've only read the words and the descriptions. That's
true.
all they'll have to go by. But that's where I give Sweden a lot of credit, is
Yeah,
that
I
they.
think they're also fortunate to have, and I'm sure Pierre is not the only one, but have people that are very instrumental in both worlds, the
Yeah,
military and the sport, and
and,
that really makes sense and difference.
And Germany does too, and so does Austria.
Yeah,
We have,
true.
we know people that are both in the military, or police world, and also do IGP dog sport or other dog sports activities. And I can't tell you when the last time I saw a demonstration of protection work,
Right.
of stable dogs at a fair, a city fair or something like that. Big crowds. You know, we shouldn't hide it. We should promote it and educate people on it, because if we leave it up to the newspapers and the politicians, we're going to just lose. That's my 10 cents
No,
on
yeah,
this.
no, I appreciate it, and I'm sure people are curious to hear your opinion on this
But yeah, I
one.
mean, everything from here, Mr. Whatever, congressperson, the German equivalent of that minister, throw out the first pitch, type of thing.
Yeah, this is like how since we both started in the country here, like early 90s and stuff, and I mean USCA used to have the coolest thing with the what was it called with the police, the double, I can't
Oh,
even,
yeah,
I
it was
don't know
police
the,
dog. It was police.
yes,
Yeah, it was police.
including even police teams coming from Germany. It was
So I forgot the acronym. God, but
WPO, I want to say, but I have no idea.
it's something. GPO, I think.
I know somebody like Kevin
But what
Sheldon
what
now
hap-
was
what
gonna
happened?
kill us.
Mike Deal was very big in it. He was a
Yes,
champion.
yes,
He competed. He competed a lot. DPO is what it's
DPO.
called. DPO. And what happened was TPO was very popular in Germany, and when it died in Germany, it pretty much died everywhere.
Yeah,
So police dog trials, when they died in Germany, they just died out everywhere.
but we do have the USPCA, and they do have their certifications, and they do have their events, and
It's a little different. I mean, like
for
I
sure.
try to always, share articles, from USCA magazine. We're lucky to have that our editor is also an editor of the police magazines.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we always try to share articles and things like that. But um, what happens is when you're in law enforcement or near military, it's very easy to explain why you use working dogs. It's a lot more difficult as a hobbyist to explain that. So what we have to do is really just show people how much fun it is, how the dogs enjoy it. It has to be done at a very basic level, like any promotion. The four P's of marketing, promotions has to be one of them. And when we promote, you and I are both part of Canine Sport, and when we promote to our people, that's all we're promoting it to, is to our people. But I
Correct.
really do feel, yeah, I mean, like, we're in an echo chamber.
Yeah, we
Of
actually
course.
have talked about, you and me, about this, that we just kind of pump each other up, but that's not the point.
No, it's not the point. And the only way, really, if we want to promote it in the public, is to do it in the public and not hide. And I know some people in the EU that want to hide by work. They want to, and I just feel like it's the wrong way to go. But that's, my opinion.
There are a bunch of differences, though. I think, I'm quite optimistic for United States.
Our country is,
Just
we have
because
a
of
lot.
the laws that we have, the
Go ahead.
different understanding of, what protection really means, like self-protection.
And you know what? This is where, to get back, I guess, in a very big circle, to get back to your FCI question that you asked early on, is because of the size of the FCI and their ability. This is what I got to give AKC a lot of credit for. AKC is on top of all legislative things in every state.
Yeah, true.
They are all over it. I don't know if you subscribe to some of the newsletters,
Yes,
but
yes.
if there's anything legislative going on in my area, I get an email right away. Contact this. Here's the link. Blah, blah, blah. They want to, this is what I got to give them credit. They're not, watching out for dog sport or anything like that, but they do watch out for a lot of things. And I struggled to find an equivalent version of that in the European kennel clubs. Really, where's the political outreach of the Austrian Kennel Club, the OKB, or the German Kennel Club, the VDH?
Right.
It's all reactive. It's all,
Yeah.
think about it, Ivan. Right? Dog trials. The type of work we do it's 100 years old.
True.
It's over 100 years old, and only now, we're starting to educate the public in the EU. I give Patricia and Florian and those guys a lot of credit, and Peter, for organically starting up this canine support organization. But where have the kennel clubs been for 100
Right.
years?
Right. That's the frustration. That's really where the frustrating part is, because.
But I do feel very, I don't know if pessimistic is the right word, but I just feel very negative right now about what's going on in Austria, and how it could just be a domino that makes other dominoes fall in the European Union.
In the European Union, but I'm, at least for a while, it's almost like a wake-up call for us, and it comes a little bit delayed, just like with all the bans on electric collars and prong collars. Mm-hmm. I think it gave us enough time here to say, hold on, this is, we need to talk about, we're not going to just accept what somebody or science or whatever says. We're not going to just follow whatever you guys say. And so we put quite a bit more resistance in the States than in Europe. And I think partially it's because we already see what happens there. So if the sport gets shut down, I believe that we're going to freak out again, and we're going to come up with something, hopefully.
I don't think in countries like Sweden it's going to get shut down or anything like that.
Really?
But because they're very well positioned, and the public is very well educated on what's going on with these dogs. But of course, everybody's just one or two bad videos away from
Correct.
something cataclysmic happening, But it's just in USA, I think we're a lot more decentralized. Municipalities, every municipality, every state has their own kind of regulations on various things. So we don't have the federal government, regulating rodeo.
How is it about the rules of FCI when the like if the rules continue to well I honestly don't see what more can change, but if they keep changing, would there be a time where the Americans here we can say okay we just gonna do our thing from that point on? Like, how do you feel about this? Because you're in both worlds. I mean, you're in the board of directors.
I think that at some point. I mean, like I think you and I are both aware. We face that point when people try to remove the stick pressure,
Yes.
stick from the routine, and I you know I understand the rationale. Pierre and I talk about this all the time. People say you can't explain to a person, a mom and a kid why we're hitting a dog with a stick. Okay, I get it. But then you also can. You can also demonstrate it like, people do, and, that the stick doesn't really hurt the dog and it's a pressure, blah, blah, blah. But I've, to get back to your question is I already get a lot of pushback inside the organization from people that have been in the sport for a long time that on this very topic of basically the rules becoming easier. They're no longer significant. We're not testing the dogs anymore. I don't think we're there yet. I understand what the FCI is doing with the IGP-1 routine. They're trying to make it easier for more people to pass, get more people involved. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the changes, but some of them anyway. I mean, some of them are, I think, making more difficult. Like IGP-1 routine, I think in protection is more difficult. Obedience
It's
is
almost
easier.
sidetracking from the goal you're chasing, like training things that are just irrelevant eventually, right?
I mean, there's some things that are relevant that are easier, and I feel like especially because of all the jumping problems we have, and with our dogs, making the jump shorter is certainly not helpful. And if we're going to say, okay, well, this is part of our breed selection. So actually, at USCA, in our breed surveys, we've implemented a jump test. It's voluntary right now. Yeah, so a handler can refuse a jump test.
Cheers
so we do have
to
a jump
that.
test in there.
Like wow.
Yeah, no, we do have it in our breed surveys, and we also have stick pressure in our breed surveys. But and a person can refuse the jump test, and all the judge does is not a pass or fail, but the judge makes a notation about dog's jumping ability, just like any other
Beautiful.
thing. No pass or fail, and it's information for breeders.
Beautiful.
This dog is hesitant jumping. This dog has powerful jumping. This dog is effortless, whatever. And it's the information for breeders.
How long it's been? Wow.
We voted it in earlier this year.
Okay.
But our executive board is very passionate about, making sure we have a healthy breed. And I'm fortunate to be working with these crazy volunteers that put themselves out there as lightning rods for everybody. But yeah, the executive board actually, I think unanimously, we approved the recommendation of the breed advisory committee to implement
so
the jumping test. Yeah.
That's so exciting. I mean,
So yeah, we do deviate, Ivan, sometimes. But you know what? If you want to have internationally recognized titles, which is the battle how do you maintain that? And offer that to your members, because people want internationally recognized titles. And if you and I start deviating too much from the IGP program, that's universal FCI program or whatever, then it's a question. Are we still doing IGP and people accept the title?
I wish FCI will, the utility commission will give us just a little more freedom, because they understand that we can. Like in my dream world, I wish that they say, you know what, do do your IGP program as it was, but you have to pass IGP by the FCI rules. You have to have that title in order to come and compete at the World Championships. So, for example, like we can have a national championship by different, well, not that different, but still like some older version of IGP rules. But as long as the dog have passed the current program, have a title, then they go and compete. And
the biggest thing is always the progression. Where do you recognize or start the progression? So if you have, let's say, some kind of a hybrid IGP tough version as IGP1, can you go for a FCI version of an IGP2? This is where, or do you have to repeat it? So this is where a lot of the logistics stuff, and in the German Shepherd world, in the WUSV world, this is even more complicated because IGP is a breeding title,
right?
That is accepted throughout the world of the German Shepherds throughout WUSV. So, of course, inside the United States, we can have our own things and allow breeding, and we have the AKC where you can basically breed untitled dogs if you want. No microchip, no hips, no elbows.
I can breed that drink. I can register it tomorrow.
You can breed dead dogs in the United States. Yes. But none of that is allowed in WSV, and then you need, working titles to breed dogs. And then we kind of harmonized on standardizing, only FCI titles within the WSV, so everybody knows what an IGP1 is, IGP2 is, IGP3 is. And like I said, 75% of our members are IGP members.
Right. Yeah, so, but don't you think it's possible to have, you get your IGP 1, 2, 3, but you also compete in a different champion, at least you're allowed to compete in a different championship, and you're not going to get banned from competing at an FCI event because you have competed at a different...
I don't think that's the case. I don't think the FCI will ban anybody. I mean, like right now, you can have Mondio, a dog that does Mondio, and compete in IGP also. It's not like a forbidden thing. Mondio is completely different from IGP, and the FCI doesn't stop a dog that does Mondio from doing IGP. I mean, this was kind of the best we could do at the time. But when the stick hits went away in the IGP routine of the FCI, we implemented our own USP titles, which was basically an IGP routine with stick hits. And a member of USCA, or any person actually, can do USP1, USP2, USP3, and go to USCA Nationals with the USP3 title and breed inside USCA. But that title is not internationally recognized.
Yeah.
But if that's what's important to you and all you care about is breeding in the United States and inside USCA, because we have a stud book, we issue pedigrees, we check all that stuff.
I actually still like that because in a lot of ways this is thinking ahead.
It's what we could do at the time, and I know there are some people that are very purist. That's just like screw everything, screw WSV, screw the SV, screw the FCI, and just go to. And I'm like, that's suicidal.
Yeah, that's really, and that's not like that. Never crosses my mind actually.
I mean, like, for us, the best thing for us is a strong FCI utility dog commission. From my perspective, a strong SV is, what's best for WSV also. I don't want to see the SV, under some kind of government attack for IGP or anything like that. I want to see, because Ivan, I'll tell you, the reality of it is, and my numbers might be a little off, but they're not far off. 70% of all dog sport, IGP specifically, is in Germany.
Really? Still?
Pretty close, yeah.
How are we doing in this?
I mean, we have something like, USCA is like 200 trials,
you guys,
a year.
How many members are you? I mean, you're
we have a rolling membership, and at any
Yeah,
one time it can go down to like 3,700 or go up to 4,500 or upwards because every day somebody's renewing or somebody's not
right.
renewing.
Yeah,
We don't
that's
have like
me.
a set
Like
time.
I never know when I'm a member. You know how I find if I'm a member when I try
You get
to
a card,
log in on the website and I'm
login,
like, oops.
yeah, that's and then people renew and things
Yeah,
like that. Now we're kind of getting a little better as from a business perspective. We're actually have with our database of membership, we have automatic emails going in. Just now we're starting to go out with reminders to renew and just to get better about it as an organization. But yeah, at any one time, it goes up and down, and it can vary by hundreds. In 1 month.
but you're still by far the biggest club in
So
the
I don't really,
States.
I don't know how big some of the other organizations are, but I think we are still, the biggest. And
I would guess the only one would be DVG, but I highly doubt it because I mean AWMA we're not never have passed 450 members, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah, I don't really know the numbers. I can only estimate if I like proportion it out in accordance with how many trials an organization holds. So, if DVG holds 30 or 40 trials, I can assume that there's something like one fourth or one fifth of what we are.
What is really
I can only
cool?
scale, I can only scale it. I don't have
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah,
It doesn't really matter. We
no,
have a lot of members that are members of both. It's fine.
right.
You
I think
People
that's also fine for sure.
Yeah, people should do what makes them happy. We have a lot of AWM members that are also
Yes.
USDA members, and
I mean,
vice
look at
versa.
me. I haven't had a German Shepherd in I don't know how long it's been now, but and this is probably why I become a member, renew my membership, but then I forget it, and then oh shit, I need to renew it again. But I'm on and off. But I think it's important to. Well, I don't see if it's important or not, but I am a member of pretty much everything.
It's I mean I'm not a member of really I joined I think I'm a member of the Canadian organization, and I'm not really a member of any other organization, but really I only compete in USCA and WUSV. I could tell you that in my club we have 3 or 4 Malinois people.
Right.
My youth Malinois handler. I think Shashti.
Yes.
She's also in my club, and yeah, I mean everybody's welcome. I love all working dogs.
It's
I
the
love to
only
see
way,
boxers,
really.
good Rottweilers, good Dobermans, giant Schnauzers, and we have everything, and which is nice. It's actually nice to see, which is why at WDC I love that trial, even though we don't have a qualification requirement. So sometimes you might get like a dog that shouldn't be there, but
Right.
I still love to see all the breeds come out and compete together.
Yeah. I mean, USCA, man, it's just this tradition of the ability to put bunch of big trials in the same year, like big entry trials. It's
It's still
always
like, I mean,
impressive. It's always impressive.
we are fortunate that we have great volunteers who step up to host the event, and we really really support our clubs with whatever resources they need. We really try to support the club that's co-hosting the event with financial support, which is the most important thing. Is we pay for the helpers, we pay for the track layers, we pay for pretty much all expenses. The club doesn't have to pay for anything. I mean, of course, there's some out-of-pocket stuff, but we'll reimburse them. But yeah, USCA pays for everything,
Yeah, that's where.
so which makes it somewhat easier for a club. It's still a lot of work, but I'll tell you, like we have some clubs that are not big clubs at all, like Mike Sweeney's club, OG Westfalen, put on the nationals this year. They don't have a lot of members. We have Jim Alloway's club, who's put on Mid Ohio, who's put on WDC several times. They're a very small club, also. It's just very nice. They do a very nice job with just overall management, and then USCA, of course, comes in and helps with the expenses, cover the expenses. But
How is it the membership? Do you know, like as far as age brackets? Like, are there any young people coming in?
We
Or
don't. We do have quite a bit of young people, but we don't really like keep the demographic. It's really not
yeah,
appropriate to ask people their
right,
age
right,
when they join. But I can tell you when I'm judging out there, for the most part, I notice there's a lot more youth handlers, and then there's people also that are just like working professionals that have this as an outlet, and then of course also so people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s,
yeah.
and
That was one of the cool ideas the Canine Net Sports came up with. Whenever somebody gives a seminar or a workshop, to allow one or two young people to join for free
participating.
without having to pay. I think that it seems like this is the young people like it, and of course they get their pictures. Like it kind of gets
It's,
you in at the door, you know.
I still, I still go back, and maybe you and I will disagree on this, but maybe not. I still go back to is if we want to grow, we have to be more. We have to be more in the public square and get young people to say, "This is some cool stuff. How do I get into this, Mom?"
Right.
Instead of doing some other activity that they do. You know,
And if
we
they
got to
get to see it, it's hard not to like when you see.
Exactly. It's you see this beautiful healing, let's
Yeah,
say that or like or some emotions that people are showing the exercises, the retrieves, even the control and bite work, and just how neutral the dog is around everybody. And then when it's time to work against the helper, the dog does that, and people are like, "Wow, this is so cool." But you know, like you said, Canine in Sports is a great thing by promoting youth participation. But I feel like it's youth we already have in the sport.
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, very
And we
true.
need to get more out into the public square, is how I feel, and do that. So I'm actually kind of trying to get it to gel in my own brain and try to, in the coming year, from a USEA perspective, try to get more of that going um, at a regional level at first, and then maybe even at some local club level, and then also getting more involved with municipality politicians, with the state politicians. The first pitch thing that I was telling you about, getting them to throw out the first pitch and be the guest of honor type of thing. And
Yeah, I mean, man, there is options for sure. One
that's
difficulty is that our sport, like, it's not so easy to convince to a school or some stadium, some sports arena to host a championship or host even a smaller event. We always do it a little bit outside, and if we do it in a more populated area, then the kids will come because it's right there, instead of having to drive an hour to some village that nobody ever goes there for no
exactly, yeah, in the
reason,
middle
you
of
know.
in the middle of Ohio, or in the middle of Indiana, or in the middle
Right,
of whatever. Yeah, I of course, yeah, that for sure is. But I'm not just talking about big trials. I'm talking about just promotional activities going on. I'm talking about, hey, there's a fair going on. Let's say, I don't know if you have them in
right.
Florida, but
Yeah,
we have
yeah, yeah.
fairs all the time. And I'm like, hey, we're gonna, get this ring going. Do some obedience with 3 dogs or 4 dogs, then do some protection. People can come in to this little arena. Stand next to the dog as the dog is doing protection and see what it's about, and see how neutral the dog is, and how well behaved the dogs are, and just promote it in a public square like that versus.
It's just that we are kind of strange group of people
Mm.
all together. We, like, if we were that social and that kind of, like, there is a reason why we are training dogs out on the fields,
Yeah.
in some way, right? And I'm sure there is certain individuals that would love to go and make this kind of promo and interact, but a lot of the dog people, they're in dogs for the reason that they're not so social, like, I think, I don't know.
Well, we have all kinds, so Yeah, of course, like if you want, not everybody can be a salesperson, not everybody can be a
Right.
marketing person, so you get the people that can and ask them
Maybe
to do
with the
some.
streaming and the advertisement now with social media, like if we make how dog competitions become more streamed live, if those get advertised correctly and people start to watch those instead of swiping on TikTok, or maybe, I don't know, maybe.
Actually, my son is the one that my son, he goes to Boston College. He's a senior at Boston College. He actually said to me that we're doing a very piss poor job promoting to young people, whether it's through Instagram, TikTok, or whatever.
Right.
He said, because he's got a lot of Schutzhund gear. He wears a lot of sweatshirts that he took from me, or t-shirts. And he says whenever he wears it in college or anywhere, everybody thinks they're the coolest thing ever. And they're like, what is this Schutzhund stuff? So he shows them video. He's written papers about it in school. Like, actually, people think it's just so cool. And even, this is the, he just got him involved in it through wearing clothes.
Right. Does USCA have like an Instagram, TikTok account or no?
So we have a Facebook account. We do have an Instagram account, which is dormant. We don't have a TikTok account. No, we don't. But should we? Yeah.
Maybe we
But
should,
we
right?
gotta, yeah. We definitely should. And this coming year, I think it'll be great. The biggest thing I find is that you need somebody fairly well versed in social media, Instagram and TikTok, to manage this effort. And it takes time to put quality videos on there, to put quality things on there. And, we're volunteers, and, look at me, I'm 57 years old. I'm not a big TikToker
Right.
or Instagrammer. I just pecked my way through it. But yeah, if we had, I have to find some volunteers that we can trust, and they will be very active, that they will take this very seriously, almost as a full-time job, is to put content up there and to get people to engage. But we don't do a good job with that. Nobody does. No dog sport
Right.
organization. No, I don't know if you can find any good breed club that does it either.
There is
I
like in the
oh,
last couple of years or so, there is individual people for their individual marketing that are in the sport that are doing really well with it, which is, as a byproduct, it's still a promotion and advertisement to what we do. But yeah,
yes,
if the clubs are doing that, that could be
I
changing.
mean, we're not doing a good job. Nobody's doing a good job promoting the sport worldwide in a way like that. Really, it dawned on me, probably late, just because I'm old. Or one of the youth members in my club, she's a dog trainer. Like also trains pet dogs and things like that, and she loves dog tricks. She teaches dogs dog tricks. She has a German Shepherd that she works with, and she has a Mally, two Mallies that she works with in IGP. One puppy she's starting, but she told me that she has like 1.2 million followers on TikTok or something like that. I'm like, that's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
From posting like dog tricks and things like that.
Yeah. No, this is I mean, this is the world, and
And that's all organic followers. It's not like a
that's
kennel club,
amazing.
or
Yeah.
it's not like a kennel club or somebody else, paying for, Facebook friends and followers. This is organic. It's like a million followers on TikTok from dog tricks.
Yeah. Wow.
We
Wow.
don't do a good job promotion, Evan. We don't, and I think the attitude, what I could see in Europe, and I think you kind of get the same sense, is that we're hiding IGP and not really exhibiting it. I think people are afraid to show dog teeth, dogs doing long bites, dogs doing stuff like that.
Well, in Europe, I mean, we know they're in such a difficult place. It's
Very.
like you always have to look around, even if you're not doing anything wrong. Now it's ingrained in everybody that trains dog that somebody's watching you and somebody's gonna challenge what you're doing, and
Yep.
this is a huge problem, and for them, I don't see how they can come out of that. Like
It's difficult.
I don't know.
It's a difficult situation, but I think that hiding um, hiding the sport. I guess I'm not talking about training. I'm talking about putting on exhibitions in a town square.
Right, right, right.
Like I'm talking about things like Knut Fuchs does. With his he does a good job, I think, promoting
Yes,
training and things like that. Just these very nice images of dog sport.
yes.
Um,
Speaking of
um,
which, he's I'm gonna have him in probably the next podcast because of, well, there is a lot of reasons why, but
I,
one of the reasons is this,
yeah, no, he's doing. I feel like he's doing a really, really good job doing that. Like just promoting this to the public, and we don't. I don't. He's not hiding. And we. Like I feel like at a higher level, at a kennel club level, like we're hiding. And I think that because we're hiding, people automatically get the sense that something's wrong. And then I also feel like when you're hiding and you're not proactive about promoting and being proud of what you do, you're starting to die. And it's a slow death. And
right.
I mean, you either are happy and proud of what you do, or you're not, right? I mean, like I'm I'm very happy with dog sport, and I love to show off my dog, and I love to see dogs working, and I love to see Sanook doing long bites, or
Right.
another doing long bites.
No, for so many of us, it's really the most meaningful thing in life, which is kind of crazy to even say, but we really, it's the most, it's the place where you feel at home and you get the satisfaction and the joy of that thing of working with dogs. There is just no other experience that I can, and I have many hobbies, but nothing come close. Nothing.
I mean, when you're out there, when you're stepping on the field with your dog, it's like jumping out of an airplane with a parachute, not knowing whether it's going to open.
I like it. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
obviously it's a dog that you train, but you're still it's still a dog. So of course, hopefully, if you've done a good job, so you guys you're in harmony on the field, but still you don't know. When you say sook to your dog at the tracking flag, you don't know what's going to happen. You kind of hope,
I
and you
have
maybe
a,
know from training what's going to
I
happen, but
know.
it's happened to me. It's happened to a lot of people. Or if you say foos to a dog,
It's, yes, of course. But that's why we do it, though. I mean, if it was,
oh, it's also adrenaline for us. I
yeah,
know.
there is the gamble. Here we go. Let's see
Yeah.
if today,
For
what,
you, much more of a gamble than for me, because you're a much more well-known professional. So I give you a lot of credit for stepping on the field and showing off your training, because
yeah,
this is what you do. No, seriously, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. This is a big thing for me. Professionals then don't back it up. So people like you, people like Knut, people like Marco,
right.
um,
Yeah, there
people.
is a little bit more at stake for sure.
Yeah,
But what can you do? Like there is times that I'm like, I should not be doing this. Like, why am I doing this? And then I have
you
one
love it.
dog, and then I
You
have
love it.
another dog, and now I can talk to you with so much excitement and passion about my new dog that it's just about a little over 2 years old, and talking about tracking, and he's just this natural vacuum machine that is just, like some dogs, they track and they're on the track, and he's like in the track, like it's nothing to do with training. It's like possessed with, it's like, this
He
is,
loves it. He loves doing it. He
yes.
loves it.
And I know there's going to be problems in track. It's inevitable in some trial that we're not going to do well. But I know that if we don't do well, I know that he's good tracker somehow. It's okay, to where I've had dogs that tracking always been a tough one. And I have had like, man, I mean, I don't know, like I gotta go to working dog and check, but with my first one, I think I had like 200 or 300 points, and like it's, but what I wanted to say is what you mentioned. It's always that uneasy feeling before the track, and all the way until the very last moment. You just like underwater, like a, but that's why we do it. I think that's the if it was just like, oh, let's just glide, then it's a different kind of fun. There is the gamble, and the gamble in IGP it's a lot. I mean, like it's a torture in some ways what we do.
I enjoy it a lot. I mean, my young dog now, he's over 2 years old. He's 2 3/4 or something like that. He's similar to your dog, loves tracking, very smart on the track. And it's the first dog I've ever had in my life when I say, track at the flag, that he will never quit and always go to the end. Unless the dog is physically, there's something wrong with him. I know he might miss an article or something like that, but I know that he will never quit the track.
Yeah, and
that's an awesome feeling.
It's definitely an amazing feeling, and it allows you to like appreciate. Just instead of trying to teach, you can step aside and just enjoy the natural ability. It's a cool thing.
Oh yeah, I do enjoy it. I wish we lived in a better climate for it, but I don't know how you guys do with fire ants, but we don't have that. We do have snow.
You primarily have grass tracking, or do you have some dirt?
Where we live, it's all grass.
It's all grass, right?
We rarely, very rarely have dirt. And if we do have dirt, it's cornfield.
So what do you do to prepare for dirt stuff? You go places.
You usually travel, yeah. Yeah, we have to travel. Like, we don't have sod, so when tracking is on sod, let's say at a national event, tracking is on sod, I'll have to drive somewhere to Albany, New York area, or 3 hours away to track on sod.
USC, do you guys still have like I remember at one point there was something like some education and something was done around tracking and track layers and stuff. Do you still have that?
Yeah, no, it's actually it actually grew quite a bit. We have a formal track layer program, like a helper program.
Oh wow!
It's run by Mark Chaffin and a few other guys like Tim Reber, and you can actually download the track layer program. As a PDF file. Track layers get books like helpers get books. They get classification. We do track layer seminars. No, we do. Yeah, we have a track layer program. Yeah. It became official a couple of years ago.
Do you know of other clubs like anywhere in the world that have it?
I'm not aware of it.
No, right? And it's really, it is an important thing. Because
I mean, we think so, which is why we have a program.
Right.
We have a lot of people that are passionate about it, and we have a lot of people with track layer scorebooks, that are proud to lay tracks at trials and have them recorded in their track layer books. And we classify track layers also. We have a
wow.
really good national track layers that come off for national events and lay tracks, and it's an art.
Yes.
It actually is.
Yes, and at least.
So make sure every track is consistent,
Correct. At least one piece of the puzzle of tracking in a trial has a little bit of consistency, which is the competitors appreciate that.
They do, and I mean, it's still because you compete a lot yourself. Some of it is the luck of the draw. Somebody might get crazy windy rain, and another person might get beautiful, cool day with no wind at all.
Let's go back to your judging. When you've kind of judged now quite a bit, how often do you see like the old, like I don't even know how to say it, but like the old school type of training that shows up to where the dogs are clearly they would rather not be doing this. Let's put it that
So
way.
I see it still quite a bit, but not necessarily because of old school training. It's because of the quality of the dog. Some dogs just don't have it in them to be this flashy,
Correct.
energetic, or dominant animal. I mean, it's few dogs that we're talking about that have qualities that like that. But for the most part, the training has come along very well. Everybody with access, whether it's to social media, YouTube, blah blah blah, and just information from people like yourself, and they've come along. So, but what I find is when I see dogs like that, and it still pretty much happens at every trial. It's not necessarily because of the training. There is an occasional one because of the training, and we've had, some at one at a national championship, sometimes two. It's you know, but for the most part, 99% when I see a dog like that, it's because of what the dog just doesn't have it, or the handler maybe just doesn't have it,
Yeah, it's like
physically to inspire
trying
the
to
dog.
have the kid do boxing when they would rather do
Yeah,
athletics of some
or
sort.
we have. I mean, like let's say it's a somebody that just has a dog they can't play tug of war with because of physical limitations or something like that. So you know, you get in what you put. You get out what you put into the dog. If the dog thinks it's a lot of fun. I mean, they're still self-serving animals. They do what makes them feel good,
Yes.
and they don't like to do what doesn't make them feel good. If they think there's a lot of play and happiness and things like that, the drive level of course goes up. But a lot of people just physically are not able to do it. And then you see that on the field, and then of course you see dogs on the field that don't have the flashy obedience. And
And that's also where to have the tactfulness, like when you're
oh yeah, when you're
good
judging it,
judge how to handle this, and because this can make that person go and do something else or get two more dogs and get even more into it and never
I
even give
oh
up on the dog that they have at the moment. So like the judge is probably like critical point at that time.
I learned, I had some good people that, mentor me along the way. And I can tell you is that I always try to say positive things because the sport is hard enough and judges can kill the sport if like critiques by their nature are negative. It's a negative word. A critique by its nature is a negative word. And that's what the judge gives at the end of a routine. So let's say you have a dog that is not was trained, the best the kennel knew how. The dog is just not super drivey, but dog, you can see they definitely have a good relationship. And I'll say that I'm like, the dog loves you. You can tell that on the field. I'll say like I'd love to see more energy. I'd love to see more correct, behavior. But still, the dog loves you.
The
The dog did everything.
relationship is there.
Yeah, the dog did everything you asked. You know, you have to realize that these people aren't training for the world level, the national level, or anything like that. They're just going out there to have fun with friends at a club.
Correct.
It's an activity they're doing away from their family, maybe, after work or something like that. And like,
And as much as it looks like the dog doesn't really get the kick out of it, they still enjoy the weekly trainings and the interactions and the whole
it's
thing.
still fun for the dog to get the
Right.
ball, of course,
Right.
or get the tug toy, of course. And it's the benefit to just the mental state of the dog, to the physical state of the dog. This is the kind of things we need to be describing to the public because this dog could be at home lying on the couch doing nothing,
Just
right? And instead,
going
this dog
twice
is
a
being
day on a flexi around the block. That's it.
yeah, and instead, this dog is being mentally, physically stimulated. Doing things that are fun and yeah. I mean, judging is can make or break a lot of the sporting activities too. It can discourage people from the sport. It can encourage people into the sport. I am not perfect, far from perfect. Obviously, as a judge, I have people that don't like the scores I give them. They think they should get more.
No, I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't
but
do it.
it almost never happens at a club level. Almost never at a club level. Everybody is very, um, respectful, very what I encounter, just very welcoming, and it's like somebody's bringing you into their into their home, into their community, and whereas the championship
Right.
level is different. People are coming from everywhere into somebody else. But yeah, I do enjoy club judging. There are some tough judging moments, of course, when you can have 12 BHs and you know two IGP dogs or something like that. Then it's a weekend judging all BHs, which
I
is not
know.
like necessarily
I am
well,
ashamed to say this, but we just had a trial with, I don't know, 10 BHs.
no, it's
We
fine.
had
It's
a,
fine. I'm just saying as a judge. I mean, of course, you like to see
right.
people at the entry level, but also you like to see retrieves, and you like to see bite work, and you like to see tracking.
Yes.
So
Yes.
uh, and with the BH, you get to see two rounds of obedience on and off leash, and then an impartiality test. And
And speaking of Austria and talking about the BHs right now, even that little piece somehow got left out, in the, oh, we're teaching dogs to bite men and this is such a bad idea. It's like, no, like the very first thing we do is making sure that these dogs will not
stable,
have a loose
stable.
screw and do stupid things. This is the very first thing we do. And somehow we fail to have that in the arguments.
It's not. It's just it's an overall. I mean, it's an overall failure. It's not. It's we can go. We can start. Of course, FCI is the global organization, but this is really country local matters. Should be handled by kennel clubs, because they should be the most familiar with their politicians, uh, with their laws, and things like that, and they should be the drivers. I mean, how many kennel clubs in the EU that have political outreach?
So what do you think
I
we
don't know.
do? Like, what do you think, like, we do in our country, like the German Shepherd Club, the Malinois Club, the AWDF, like the places that at least we can talk to each other and get organized? Like, how can we come up with some plan, like how to move forward to protect what we do, I guess?
I think the first thing to do would be to get some dynamic individuals into a working group, and not a big working group, but a small one that can actually function, and start putting ideas on the table. And I'm talking about people with from various backgrounds, business experience, some experience in dealing with politicians or whatever, obviously training experience, um, and and we need to do that, and we need to be proactive about it. And I mean, like, it doesn't, I have no pride in ownership on this one or anything like that. If this is something that um, the AWDF wants to do to get, but if it starts to be like just a group of people talking about things, it's not meaningful. It needs to actually be like a group with a charter of doing specific things, and being very focused and very dedicated to that,
Right.
coming up with the ideas for that, instead of some kind of a nebulous thing that accomplishes nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm all for it. I mean, but I think the first thing that we need to do is organize. Have some really different opinions.
Right. Get some a group of people, right?
And I'm like, we if you take a sample of our population, I'll bet you, if we put an outreach out there in my organization, AWMA, DVG, and other organizations in USA, you're going to get people with all kinds of backgrounds.
100%.
You probably get even some politicians. I know one of our apprentice judges right now, Ray Jeffers, is
Yes,
a,
I know,
is a
Ray.
politician in North Carolina.
I know. I kind of followed him. I'm like, oh, look at him! Really, he really is gonna do this. And
Yeah,
there
yeah,
he
he's doing
is.
it. Yeah,
And
he's
there he
doing it.
is. But I think also what you think of inviting like local police to do demonstrations before the closing ceremony or something. You know how those were cool things back then, coming from the helicopters and stealing the woman with a stroller.
I think that's also great. Everything we can do is awesome. I think the one thing right now, Ivan, that I think we fight, you fight, is the attendance at events because of live streaming is way down, way down.
Mm,
So even when you go to a world championship, unless you're in some very special place, city center or something like that, or a big town center, uh, you're not, live streaming. People just
yeah.
watch it on their phones or on their computers at home.
Wow. Didn't think of that, but that's true.
It's really, I've noticed attendance go down quite a bit because of, live streaming. But it is the modern age. People do want it, and if you don't have live streaming, they scream for it.
Right, right, right. No, no, I mean, it's so convenient.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
I'm for anything that promotes what we do, our breeds, the working breeds. Yeah, it would be great to have that. We do have relationships with, obviously there's quite a few police people that do the sport in my organization. I know that for a fact. Um, Not, I mean, like Mike Deal is retired now, but he used to be in charge of all canine um, in Indianapolis, in the city of
yeah,
Indianapolis. But yeah, of course we can get police to do the demonstration. My biggest issue is just attendance, and
right. Who do you
we'll let it.
demonstration to? No, yeah, because wow, I haven't thought of this, and this is so true. I mean, I know that we don't get like people coming in, but I always thought of different reasons. But I can see totally how streaming affects that as well.
It does. It really does.
And you cannot. There is no way you can stop streaming. That's
No,
just not
no,
right.
it's the modern age. No, I think my biggest focus and just New Year resolution for myself is what we talked about is the promotion and doing the right things to build the longevity in the States as much as I can, and being on the WSV board of directors, at least having some positive or a different voice for ideas in Europe.
What is
But
the term to be? How long? What is the?
3 years normally. I'm in my second year, and then you can run for re-election or
Yeah.
not.
How do you like being in that high of a position?
It's a lot. It's so being a president of USDA is pretty challenging.
For sure.
It's because, I mean, a lot of it is um, it's just challenging because there's a lot of things organizations face on a daily basis and a weekly basis and a monthly basis. Some of them could be existential to an organization, and we've dealt with that. We've gone through it. We've gone through a fire in early 2020 and stuff like that. But being on the board of WSV gives you a whole different perspective because you get to hear from Uganda. You get to
Wow.
hear from German Shepherd Dog Club in China. You get to meet with all of these people. During the Seeger show in Germany, WSV board meets with whoever wants to meet with us, any country member club that meets. So they're given like whatever 30 minutes or something like that. They come in, and what we found was it was interesting because we met with a person that I have a lot of respect for, Mr. Chen, who is the president of the club in China, German Shepherd Club in China. Very dedicated, and spends a lot of his own personal fortune taking care of animals in China. Shelters, cats, dogs. Just very passionate about making sure animals are cared for and things like that. Very, very successful man. And it was interesting because he's also represents countries in his region. And then when we were asking him certain questions and he was asking us certain questions, because WSV is moving to this harmonization scheme where we're trying to, throughout the WSC organization, we're trying to make sure that people have the same, follow the breeding regulations
Yeah.
in the same way and all of that. And we asked, Mr. Chen, how they were doing in the Asia Pacific. And, it was interesting. His answer was like, well, we're just trying to survive. We're not looking at some of these higher, things. We're just trying to survive.
Yeah, very.
That's like, and it kind of brings it home, like you and I are talking about growing the sport, promotion for youth, certain things, like that Instagram, TikTok, and there's countries out there that have dog organizations who are just trying to survive.
Yeah,
And that's the perspective that I got from being on the board of directors of WSV that I never had before. So you get to see, I guess, you get to see under the hood of some
that's.
other organizations that are not as fortunate as we are, or Germany or
And
whatever.
then you
And,
probably have to. I mean, I'm sure
yep.
there is, like, I know back in Bulgaria there is the one German Shepherd Club, there is the other one, and they always fight and who's gonna be member of the WSV, and so I'm sure
Yeah,
you
Bulgaria. Yeah, I
have
know
to
Bulgaria
deal
very.
with
Yeah,
that as well, right?
Yeah, Bulgaria has some very. It's kind of. It's a strange situation right now, but I actually think that they're working together um, to make to do the best thing for the German Shepherd, and
Yeah,
that's kind of we met with two of them, and they really are trying to reconcile and put aside their differences for the breed because it was it's
but as you
it's
said,
not
it's the
it's not
same.
the fighting is not good. I mean, sometimes you do have the feuds, and of course we're guilty of it too. In USA, we feuded, and we've hopefully are in a better way now for everybody. But that's it has to come to an end. But as sometimes organizations are also reflections of the people that are
Right.
in them and that are in power in certain positions, and some people are just hard to get along with.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't work with you. It's almost like they just want to see the world burn.
Right.
To borrow a line from Batman. Some people just want to see the world burn. But I mean, we
Like
have to move.
it's the the people that there is like a certain type that want to get to a position. Like it's not the passion about dogs or sport. It's this growth of me becoming in
Yeah,
some
some status thing, and then
yes, like
yeah,
and and it's so obvious. But then we have the other people that are like, well, I just want to train my dog. I don't want to be a president. I don't want to be in a committee to help. I just want to train my dog.
that's a 97, 8, 9% of the population, I think. And then there's the 1% that but sometimes that one person can be very dangerous to an organization. It
Right.
can be. We try, I mean, it's always, you hope an organization is kind of like a self-policing body too, that they can manage to deal with that, but sometimes it's not possible. But we're I don't know how it evolved into this, and I guess I came into it late. I've been president for a few years, but and vice
How
president
did they
before that. But
convince you
how
to
but how
become?
all of this animosity started between people specifically. I'm not even talking about organizations. I think I have a good handle on the history of that. But between people, how
Right.
you know. But then what happens is when some of those people become more powerful and they become in charge of something, and then they carry that animosity and that chip with them.
Yeah,
It's and I think that's what happened in Bulgaria. Just to go back to
right,
Bulgaria,
right. No, for sure.
it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's like these blood feuds that just wouldn't die, and then it takes some new people to come in sometimes and just say, "Okay, we give," or let's move forward. Let's do something to move forward.
Yeah, every once in a while, like I get either from one or the other club, like either they need advice or help or just to take their side, and I'm like, I can't, like I don't, it doesn't make sense to me that you guys are handful of people. Like right now they have with the Malinois club there, it's the same thing. It's like, in some places people really think that we all get along. And we don't get along. We don't have to get along. We don't have to like each other. As long as we have some rules to follow and we are respectful to each other and we go and compete, and you have your group of people that you like and you hang out, and you have yours, and then we meet, we compete, we shake hands, we say hello, we have a drink.
It's like any sport.
Right? That's just that part is very hard for me to explain to Bulgarians. They're very, it's all personal. It's like, no, we have to be friends to make a club. It's like, dude, you don't need to be friends to make a club.
You don't even need to be friends to be teammates on a football team.
Right.
In Europe.
Right. We don't.
You don't. I mean, like ideally, if you have your own club, and I'm not talking about a club like USC, I'm talking about a local club, a local small club. Ideally, you want all the people to be able to get along.
No
because
doubt.
if you get one person, in a closed situation like that where you're training 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week, and you have this one cancerous individual, it's just brutal on the whole club, and that I would discourage. But when you take a big club, big sample, you get all kinds of people.
Yeah. And
I hope, I'm guilty of it too earlier on. And, maybe I was confrontational and said the wrong things and did the wrong things myself. And I'm guilty of it. But I grew, when I became president of USCA and, dealt with some bigger things in the world, I grew as a person.
Yeah.
And I see now even more what I told you about going on, whether it's Asia Pacific, and just Mr. Chen, who has all the success in the world himself. He's just like, we're just trying to survive.
Is China FCI country or no?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. I mean, that's a lot of people with a lot of dogs.
It's growing. It's growing a lot. But, in the German Shepherd world, too, another country that has grown a lot, and I think almost as big as I think one of the highest growth rate countries right now is India. Oh. Super nice people, also very focused on the German Shepherd, want to do the right thing, nice people, very welcoming. That country is doing fantastic right now.
I was watching, I'm sure you saw it too. Louis was judging the conformation. Yeah. They had these amazing trophies. There was very cool photo with this little kid barely holding this big, beautiful trophy.
We don't get those trophies in IGP.
No.
Those are breed show trophies, Simon.
But I'm so, like out of our conversation, one thing I'm so excited that you guys came up with the jumping criteria.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to Louis and whatever couple of podcasts ago, and he talks so much and he knows so much.
Yep. And physiology, problems with the breed,
yes,
overregulation,
yes,
all kinds of things,
Yeah, I got some education for sure. Like, it was very, very cool to listen to him. But I was telling him, like, you guys, instead of this endless running, trotting, put a jump there also. That will change the game. And you can do it as smart and intelligent as you guys did it. It's not reinforced. It's not like you must or whatever. But
it's a voluntary thing,
right? But it's something that
we found that people are doing it. More and more people are doing it, and like, we didn't make it a pass fail either. Right now, it's not a pass fail. It's it's an observation that the judge records. How your dog jumps, basically.
Yes, but it so makes sense. Like, again, not going back to constantly to his conversation, but every once in a while, especially before a show, some people locally will come and they want to get some reps with the dogs in protection. And there are some show dogs that I personally would be interested to play around with, you know? But the first thing that always comes to mind when it comes to a German Shepherd for me is like, I want to see that dog jump. Like everything stops right there. Just like with the Doberman, I want to see a long bite.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and not one, but give me like 3 long bites. Like there is things that
you want to see the opening phase of the long bite. Yeah.
Yes, it can be so beneficial for the show line and whatever we want to call the dogs that are.
Yeah, it's true. It's right now it's show line dogs versus working line dogs, and we had that split in the breed some years ago, and always trying to find that. Some people try to find that golden middle with the universal Seeger.
How do you think the universal Seeger as a idea and where it's going? Do you think it?
I think it's good to have the dogs that can do it both in the breed aspect and in the work aspect. It's not as popular in a lot of countries yet, but which is why you only get like 60 dogs or something like that in the Universal Seeger Championship, because some countries are just not focused on that, whereas they may be in IGP. So like in IGP, we might get competitors from Thailand, from China, from Japan, and Universal Seeger, you might not get those people at all. So it's still in a developing aspect. But yeah, the idea was to find that golden middle for people and to show them that a dog can work and a dog can have the breeding qualities we're looking for too in a breed standard. A lot of people, but a lot of IG people don't care. The beauty's in the work.
Right.
Dog can be the ugliest thing in the world, but the dog has fantastic obedience, excellent protection work. They're happy. Then there's a fair
It
amount
is a
of dog.
strange thing, the whole conformation. And I was a IGP judge. I was a conformation judge. And conformation, the whole point of it is so it can be functional. That's the whole point, was that it has to look good, but you cannot disregard functionality. The moment function is at risk, beauty versus function, it just should not be ever a debate.
We agree 100%. 100% agree.
But there is money in it.
It's a situation in the German Shepherd world that's fairly unique. I don't think it really exists in the Malinois world per se, or
We
Rottweiler
do
world.
have show dogs, but it's just
There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money in
Yes.
in a show. But people love what they love about the German Shepherd. Who am I to tell somebody, hey, your show line, you should get a working line dog, or not love your show line dog. I mean, that's just my opinion. People can. I love my working line dogs, but I understand that people love their show line German Shepherds.
right. I mean, I like them when I like them when they can move and jump.
I actually remember some of your old videos that you did with the show line German Shepherd.
Yeah,
you showed one at
Yes, I
a
did.
USCA championship one time, I think.
I mean, that wasn't like, it wasn't, I just was in some seminar in Brazil, and the dog was young and they didn't think any of them. And within 3 days, that dog was just flourishing, shining. And I fell in love with the dog. I probably would have just taken him day one for free. At the end of the seminar, I'm like, well, I know you guys don't like him. I can take him. And it's like, no, we don't take him now. And so there was a lot of negotiations. And I just got him because I really liked the dog as his personality, not like the looks wasn't.
No, but that's exactly my point. Is
Right.
who am I to tell you
Right.
not to like this dog because it's a show line? And
But I pay the price.
This is a discussion I have with sometimes people that are very purist about working, I mean, police heritage and things like that. I can't, we have youth people who love their show line dogs that, train their show line dogs in IGP. Who am I to tell them, hey, you need to go to a working line dog? But I can tell you, Ivan, we have just as many bad working line dogs out there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of dogs, in the working lines also that are not like great, let's say, quality dogs. I mean, at least I get it. You're starting out with the hope of a sports car, um, but people love what they love. Not everybody can deal with a dog like I have, or a dog like you have, or a dog like people. People just want, you know.
Yeah,
I like they want what they love. This is what they love to do. We have members. Most of our members are working dog enthusiasts, but we have a fair amount of members that are also love the show ring and I mean one of our actually all of our breed judges, Richard Shook, Heidi Teese, and Karen McIntyre, they're all working dog people also. I mean, they have working, they do IGP with their dogs. They train IGP with their dogs. Richard's wife does bulldogs. He trains working line German Shepherds. He's a show judge himself. I mean, a breed judge. Heidi's a breed judge. She's also an international breed judge, but she loves IGP and she's an IGP judge. I mean, there's certain things, but what I do hate about some of the things that I see out there in the world is just the corruption aspect of it in the breed thing, and I don't like that.
it is very hard because it's really that it's good money there.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
just
And just I could see how it lends itself to some of that because you do an IGP trial, you get 7-10 dogs. You do a breed event, you're going to get 100 to 200 dogs. It's a lot more money.
yes.
It's an issue that was actually in some of the private meetings we have with WUSV members, they express as a concern, and it's a legitimate concern, is that we need to do a better job policing ourselves and being
How are
getting.
the kind of the big influential people in the show world from Germany? How are they? Do they interact in any way with the WSV, or
I mean,
because I don't see
Germany.
they having a reason to, but
No, I mean, of course they do, because the breed standard is still the same for everybody. And the bigger, more well-known breed people in Germany are the ones that end up judging the breed events around the world. So
yeah,
WSV, might have a show, but it's not normal. But every WSV member country normally has a Seeger show. So you'll see some of these more prolific judges and famous names in those types of venues.
okay. What
So yeah,
about
it's not necessarily like a straight line, but there's a lot of branches in WSV that Germany is a part of, and as they should be.
the herding? Is that a thing or it's gone?
Yeah, it's actually a interesting factoid for you. I'm not going to say it, but I think we're one of the only other countries other than Germany that has a herding club, an HGH club, as part of our organization. Ulf Kitzel, it's his club. They're in New York State. I can't remember, New York or Connecticut. I think New York State, but they are the only herding club. I think yeah.
Oh,
It's not a super common thing because it's hard to find sheep around
right.
USA, you know, and for people to know what they're doing to get involved with that. But what we're also seeing is, I don't know if you've heard about RH,
Yes.
which is,
Yes.
yeah, so that is also taken off. We had our first RH national championship. it was a little bit, not without issues as any first championship, but it's also, starting to kind of like grow as an avenue for people.
And WSV, do they do agility trials or no?
They do. So right now, every WSV World Championship has had concurrently with it an agility event going on. But at the latest WSV General Assembly, it was proposed that we also host an agility World Championship
Oh,
to make it
wow.
more formal.
Yeah, see, we'd
Actually,
like the.
like I don't know a lot about agility, and I'm not going to pretend I do, but I could tell you is that um, in an organization in Germany like the VDH, IGP used to be here and agility here. Now IGP is way down and agility is way up.
Absolutely. That's kind of why I was asking. That's without a doubt.
I'm not. It's just not what I do, and it's not what USCA is. But if people want to also do agility, I'm not against it. I mean, it's some activity they do with their dogs, and
Yeah.
it involves some obedience, involves athleticism, and things like that. But it's not. I'm not a breeder. It's not something I would use as a breeding criteria for a German Shepherd. But why would I be like it'd be great. If you want to go do that with your dog, do it.
I'm surprised that the WSV is thinking to combine them.
No, it was combined. Now they're thinking about making it its own. Now
Okay.
it's evolved to make it its own, actually, to make it bigger, to make the agility like
That's
a
better.
world championship stand on its own.
I think when the Belgian Shepherd World Club, when they put the obedience and agility and monitoring and IGP and the
Yeah,
bike
bike joring. Yeah, yeah.
yes, all the same venue. It was amazing. Like it truly was a very, very cool stuff to see for the first few years. But then you start to realize that everybody is in their game and you don't even have time. You know that there is big names doing very top level performances 50 meters away and you don't have time. Even if you peak for a moment, you don't have time. You're there for one reason.
Yeah, and I still like to pick up on something you're saying. I feel like, and I give FMBB a lot of credit. I mean, those events are monumental to put on. I know they are. But I also feel like they dilute each other.
Yeah.
And I think like obviously FMBB IGP probably, is the crown and the jewel and the World Cup, and I think that the other events are kind of lost a little bit in terms of what in that whole context of FMBB. But I do think if agility was on its own and something else was on its own, it might be more of an event.
Right.
More focus, more focus.
Yeah, I think the FMBB, and I'm not 100%, but I think there's some ideas thrown again to where it makes sense to break the whole all events at the same. It's impossible too. I mean, imagine finding a sport complex somewhere that can host all this at the same time.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's very difficult, very difficult. And the other thing is like, I look at that thing as like kind of the Olympics of dogs, right? And the thing about the Olympics is like, now in the world we live in, they broadcast everything all at once, and you can flip from channel to channel to watch, swimming, to watch something else, and they try to stagger the times and things like that. And they try to not dilute, still, of course you dilute it, but whenever you have too many things going on at once, it always dilutes each other. It can't not. How can it not?
What is next?
So,
What's coming next? What are you judging? Anything big coming, or do you have anything invitations?
I mean, for USCA, I think everybody's kind of like coming out of the nationals, getting ready for the Working Dog Championship, which will be in May. in Indiana. My focus in the new year is going to be what we talked about, to kind of try to now get more of a strategic outreach um, to the legislative side, to the political side, to get more, so we don't suffer the same. And I know in USA it's much different, but I don't want to even come close to having to deal with what they're having to deal with in Austria right now. I feel kind of helpless in Austria, um, and I feel like I feel helpless as to what may happen in Germany if Austria falls. But um, try to do everything to help.
You know what is the saddest thing of all this
Mm,
is that countries that don't have to comply to such changes, they would do it because it's cool, because the Austrians are doing it, and not
hmm
realizing that the Austrians are going to be forced to accept that. It's not that they are just, it's not a, that same thing happens with like electric collars. I know in Bulgaria they don't have to, but it's like, well, in Germany they don't use them, and in these countries they don't use them, so we don't use them because it's the cool thing. And it's just a little bit kind of sad that countries that can maintain what they have get confused.
It's just another place that maybe we failed in educating people
Right.
and things like that. It's just a
When is the USA gonna be able to host a WDF event? Do we know that?
I don't know. I think we had a club offer to host, but but I, I, I'm hopeful we can do it. I know next year it's in California. I mean, I would love to do it. So there's
Because
no
we
problem
should
at
be,
all.
there should be no reasons anymore, right? I mean,
No, we have a lot, we have some clubs that can that can do it. I mean,
nice.
it always comes down to the financial aspect for a club and just that hardship, because normally when USCA hosts an event, we pay for all the bills, but this will be an AWDF event. So then, the financial, um, aspect is, whatever. I'm not even sure how much comes from AWDF. So then the club has to bear the burden of everything else.
Yeah,
So
there
you
is
have to,
something to be ironed out with the WDF with this, because they don't.
no, I'm all for it. I think it'd be
Yeah,
great. I
yeah,
think it'd be
that's awesome.
usually when we get the best attendance, if the trial is somewhere in northeastern, central, mid-eastern part of the country,
Yeah,
we get a lot of entries. We get a lot of entries.
yeah,
So
that's
I
always.
can envision if USCA hosts AWDF, you might maybe have close to 100 entries.
Yeah, no, no, I'm sure it's gonna be big one. I'm sure. I
Um,
mean, you guys.
California is always difficult, and I have a lot of respect and love for people from Cali that drive out to the Boston area to show their dogs, or to Indiana to show their dogs. But what we found is, as much as I love visiting California or going to California, it's very difficult to go out there with the dog. Very difficult.
Yes, especially, I mean, now there is no airline. I mean, Alaska and American with some crazy restrictions, but you can somehow try to manage it. Otherwise,
I
it's driving across the country.
my dog my so like I give you an example. So like, and this is just a personal thing, and it's not for. I mean, for you maybe it's a lot easier. I have a big dog right now. My dog has to fly in a 700. For me to go to a trial in California, I would have to fly through Frankfurt.
Right.
I'd
Yeah,
have to fly
I
from
believe it.
Boston. I have to fly from Boston to Frankfurt and Frankfurt to somewhere in California, because Alaska Air couldn't even take this dog.
Right.
And that's the case for a lot of German Shepherd people. If your dog can't fit into a 500 crate, and you're taking a risk there. But also when you go to the airport, I mean, you hope and cross your fingers and stress out about it. But if Alaska Air for some reason refuses the dog, you're kind of stuck.
It was so easy. every airline, and you were shopping
Yeah, it
for
used to be. I
prices,
remember.
and it was so easy.
Delta, everybody,
Yes.
Delta. Yeah, I remember. Now I'm telling you, like if I flew to a trial in California, I would literally fly through Frankfurt.
Yeah. No, I can see how that really is only option, which is ridiculous. But wow,
It sounds
wow,
ridiculous, right? You
wow,
have to fly to Europe to fly to California.
wow, and that's not changing. That's for
No,
sure not changing.
no. We I mean obviously people in California and people, in other places want to have a trial in California, and I get that,
Right,
100%.
right.
And of course I support it. But it just turns out sometimes that it's prohibitive for some people to get out there. And I know, just tell people to drive and people will drive.
Yeah,
But
we're crazy dog people. We do that.
we do. But it's a lot of time off from
That's
work.
it's
And
very costly, very costly. I mean,
if you have a dog that can fit in a 500 crate, you're great. If you don't, no, you have to drive or fly, like I said.
right, man, that's wild. I haven't thought of this, but that's very
Yeah. No, think about it. Like for me, my dog is, 90 pounds. He's, 65 and, centimeters or 66 centimeters. He's not a small German Shepherd. It's a male, big German Shepherd. He flies in the 700 crate, period.
yeah, and you really have no choice but to do something
No,
crazy like that.
no. So, or either that or drive.
Wow, I would.
Yeah, we are crazy dog sport people.
USA is always on the front in our country without a doubt, and
I thank you for saying that. I mean,
no, there's no
my,
question.
my philosophy is always, as president of USCA, just try to do the best thing for our members and for the working dog community. And I know that the working dog community in the USA has had its differences, but I hope that in the coming years we put them all aside.
Right.
Whether I was to blame, somebody else was to blame. It's it's time to move forward, and I think we are moving forward in a very nice way right now.
Yeah, I am. I for sure we are moving, and hopefully, we cannot afford anymore not to be
No, as
working
you
together.
can tell, like I know that there's some AWDF, people that are involved in the canine and sport community,
Yes,
but it's scary out there right now for the working dog world.
Vadim, that was awesome, man.
Hey,
Thank you.
my pleasure. Anytime.
And
Hey, cheers. I see you
our
drinking blends.
yes, yeah. This was the first time I actually never had this, and I really like it.
Yeah, it's a little high octane, but it's nice. What
Yeah,
is it?
I like somebody a week ago. One of my students that graduated from my doctoring school brought it.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, it's a great bourbon.
so
Enjoy it, man.
next time we're having a cigar in person.
All right. Cheers.
Thank
And a
you.
bourbon.
Thank you.
All right, brother. All right, Evan. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you do.
No,
Thank you.
it's mutual, my friend.